Yeah, okay, guys. So for the online people, hope my voice is clear for you. Can you please confirm me on chat once? I'm audible or not? Okay, so clear. Perfect. So we can start our demo from now. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. My name is Raham. So today on this class, we are going to have some demo about DevOps. What exactly is DevOps and why we need DevOps? Okay. So let me share my screen to you. Okay, so I think the screen is clear for you, right? Okay, perfect. So the first thing first, on today's class, we will discuss the complete information about DevOps. So what is DevOps and why we need to use, and what are the different kind of tools that involved in DevOps, and who is eligible to learn the DevOps. Okay. For example, let's take, before going to this, let me create a scenario for it for understanding better. You know Amazon, right? Amazon and Flipkart. For example, you have ordered a product. Let me open a screen for you. Okay. For example, this is you. You have ordered a product. You have two delivery partners. One is Amazon. Second one is your Flipkart, for example. The product is, let's say, it's your mobile phone. Any of the mobile phone. You are ordering a mobile phone and you have two delivery partners. One is your Amazon. Second one is your Flipkart. For example, Amazon will deliver your product on 2 days. But Flipkart will take 5 days. Amount is same, product is same, but Amazon is showing 2 days to deliver and Flipkart is showing 5 days to deliver. So among them, which one will you choose now? Amazon. Why we choose it? Because it is delivering fast, right? Same DevOps is also like this. DevOps is the thing which is responsible to deliver a product very speedily. For example, like on real time, when we are developing in applications, you know application, right? Web applications. So when we are developing application, we can develop the application by using different kind of terminologies. Let's say your waterfall method, DevOps, and as well as your agile. All these are different processes. Okay. But among them, DevOps is the one which can deliver our product very speedily. Okay. You can deliver a product by using Scrum as well, by using agile as well, and waterfall methodology as well. But among them, which one is going to deliver very speedily? DevOps. So now you got a basic understanding why we need DevOps. Okay. DevOps is responsible to deliver the software product very speedily when compared to others. Okay, let's discuss like this. For example, when we are talking about DevOps, there will be two teams. How many teams? First team is your development team. Which team it is? Second team is your operation team. So on development team, you will have plan, code, build, and test phases. How many phases? So DevOps is categorized into two things. One is your development team. Second one is your development team will do plan, code, build, and test. And the operation team will do deploy, operate, and monitoring. So these both teams together is called as DevOps. Initially, they won't work together. Okay. Initially, development people will work only on these kind of sets, and operation team will work on these kind of sets. So together, we both called as the DevOps team. Which team it is? DevOps team. Okay. So let's take the example. What does this DevOps people do is they will plan, they will code for it. Like for example, let's take an application to build up. Let's take any of the application like Swiggy or Zomato for our better understanding. For example, if I want to develop an application called Zomato, first of all, I need to plan like how many months does this application take time and what kind of people can we involve, What is our deadline? All these are we are going to plan or not. So our first step is going to plan, like if we take a project, we are going to plan according to it. So how many months can we complete it? What is the budget for it? And how many number of new resources required for this project? So after step is coding. Like once you plan everything as per your requirement, then we are going to write coding. If you want to develop an application, you can write any code. You can develop application on Java, you can develop application on Python, and even you can develop application on other languages called Go as well. Okay, so all these are your different kind of programming languages that use it to develop an application. So here if you see, then the next process build and finally test. So these are called as your DevOps thing. And coming to the operation part, you have majorly three things. One is your deploy, second one is your operate, and third one is your monitoring. So if we combine all these steps, then it is called as DevOps. Simply we can say it. So first of all, initially, as I said, before DevOps, development team and operation team work separately. Before DevOps comes into the market, both development team and operation team works separately. So if you see this, here is a developer. He write code for the Zomato. Okay, Zomato or Swiggy, whatever he was. So he write the code on his local laptop and he started working on it. On his local, this code is working fine. Whatever the code he written on his local laptop, it is working absolutely fine. But when he pushed the code to the production, he hand over the code to the operation team. What does this operation team will do is, they will take this code and deploy on the server. Once they deploy the application, then only we can able to use that application. From the developer point of view, he is very clear. The application he developed on his local is working fine. But the same application here given to operation team and the work application stopped function. Okay, what are the application he has given to the operation team? That application is not properly working. So then what this developer think will is like he has given the production server to the operation team. Application started working fine on his local. But when it comes to the production environment, it is not working fine. Then there will be some disputes among these two teams, because the reason why they got error is there is some miscommunication. Actually, if you want to run this application on the production server, he need to have Java software, for example. As a developer, this guy know this application will work only if there is a Java running inside it. But does this operation people know whether to install Java here or not? They don't know, right? As a developer, his duty is to make a application, and this application is properly working on Java only. But when it comes to the production server, this production server doesn't have any Java software. Then the application is going to work here? No, right? Because that application is totally written on Java language. This Java language is completely installed on his developer system. So then it started working there. But on production server, there is no Java software. Then the application is working here, is able to function here properly? No. Why? Because we don't have Java there. So their miscommunication happened. This developer haven't said to the operation team that you need to install Java. And even this operation team doesn't know this application works on the Java environment only. So due to this reason, they will fight with each other. What this dev people will do is, they will say like this: I have given the right code for you. Code is working on my local system. But when I hand over the code to you, it is not functional properly on your production environment. What does this operation team will do is, I don't know any coding. The code which you have given to me, I have directly deployed it to the production environment. I haven't changed anything. So mistake is not from your end. So like this, these both teams are started quarreling among themselves. Remember, if this both teams started fighting with each other, then they complete the project. Like if the project deadline is for 30 days, for example, let's say 20 days they have worked properly. From day 21, they have started fighting among themselves. So is the product moving forward? No. So then it will be disadvantage or not? Sir, why the disadvantage came means development team and operation team doesn't have proper communication. If the developer said this application will run on Java, operation team will install the application of like this Java there. Even the developer haven't said to the operation team, even the operation team haven't asked to the developer team. So there is some wall of confusion. There is some miscommunication between these two teams. So that's the reason they have started fighting among themselves. For example, if they communicated properly, then the code will be running on production server or not. They started communicating among themselves. Then developer said to operation team, this particular application needs Java to run on the production server. This development team given input to the operation team. If the operation team install Java on the production cluster, then the application will run or not. So then there will be happening called as your communication. What will happen there? So there is a proper communication among themselves and they have broken the wall of confusion there. So then the DevOps came into the picture. Okay. Initially, development team and operation team worked separately, and after they have worked together. So that's the reason why DevOps came into the market. Like lot of people will think DevOps is a technology. Some people will think DevOps is a tool. Okay, some people will think DevOps is a technology, and some people will think DevOps is a tool. But DevOps is not a technology, guys. Okay, DevOps is not a technology, and it is not a tool either. DevOps is nothing but a culture. What it is? If you see here, DevOps is a cultural movement, mindset, philosophy to coordinate and produce better and more reliable products. Okay, so that means DevOps is a culture. That culture is going to communicate all kind of people. It is going to communicate with developers. It is going to communicate with tester, and it is going to communicate with operation team as well as database, every team member. For example, in your office, there will be 10 teams. How many teams there will be? So with these 10 teams, you are going to collaborate at any point of time. We are going to collaborate with them and we are going to work along with them. So by automating the infrastructure, workflow, and continuous measuring of application performance, for which they have used a lot of tools. So here the things come. For to move this, to develop an infrastructure, to develop the application performance, there we are using lot of tools. DevOps is not a tool. DevOps is a cultural movement. In this moment, what we are using? Different kind of tools. There will be lot of tools actually. So there will be up to like 9 tools we need to learn mandatorily on DevOps. I will tell you what are those 9 tools. So let's clear a proper myth. So some people will ask, DevOps is a tool. So remember from now, DevOps is never a tool. It is never a technology. DevOps is a cultural movement. Okay. So let's, if you see this life cycle, is it resembling any symbol? Are you getting any symbol on your mind? Infinity. Why we got infinity symbol for the DevOps? Why this is infinite logo? So if you see this logo, it is a never ending process. What it is? It is resembling to infinite symbol, right? So infinite symbol means infinite doesn't have any ending. It will continue till it goes on. For example, DevOps is also like this. Okay. If you start a project in DevOps, it will be continuously going. You need to continuously code for the application. You need to continuously build for this, and you need to continuously test for this. Continuous release, deploy, operate, and monitoring. So here we are not going to stop on a particular life cycle. Okay, this life cycle will continues until and unless we finish this project. So for that particular purpose, what we are using here, which logo it is? Infinity logo. If you see, plan, code, build, and test, all these are your development activities. And deploy, operate, and monitoring, all these are your operation things. Then what is the additional thing here? Release. So due to this functionality, DevOps comes into the picture. What it is? Release. So okay, release is the additional step that which is differentiating between DevOps as well as normal SDLC. SDLC means the first thing we have seen. Let me tell you what it is. So anyone knows about SDLC? Software development life cycle. So it is your software development life cycle. So compared to software development life cycle and normal one, which one is having the extra step for us? What is the extra step we are seeing in the software development life cycle? Plan, code, build and test is there. And operation side we are saying deploy, operate and monitoring. So if we compare this with our DevOps logo, you will see an additional step. What it is? Release. So when on entry point of view, they will ask, what is the difference between software development lifecycle and DevOps? The only difference between SDLC, software development lifecycle, and DevOps is here we are having release stage. What stage we are having? When you go for the interview of DevOps, they will ask these kind of basic questions, because as a fresher or as a working person, everyone needs to have a knowledge about SDLC, because all you are software engineer, right? So you are going to make the softwares. Without knowing the life cycle of a software, can we able to generate any application? No, because we need to follow the particular life cycle. It is the basic default thing which we need to follow when we are working on the application. So one more time I'm asking, what is the difference between SDLC and DevOps? Release. It's the only step we are having difference between DevOps and SDLC. What is the full form of SDLC, guys? Software development lifecycle. So if you see this one, before DevOps, like now we are discussing about DevOps, right? I will tell you what happened before DevOps, okay? Before DevOps, there will be a lot of models on the market. Let's say like iPhone 14 is trending right now. So before iPhone, we have 13. I mean, like before 14, we are having 13 series, 12 series and 11 series, right? Why we came into the 14 series now? Updated version. So what are the disadvantages? We are having an iPhone 11, 12, 13. We are going to update on the 14th version. Like here also, while we are using DevOps, there will be some older models. Older models will have some advantages and disadvantages. So let's discuss about these older models which are previously existing before DevOps came into the market. So first model you are seeing is waterfall model. What it is? If you see this waterfall model, waterfall will flow from top to bottom. But have you ever seen waterfall flowing from bottom to top? No. The same format here as well. If you see this waterfall model, the waterfall model or methodology, you can call it as waterfall model or waterfall methodology. It is a sequential development process that flow like a waterfall. So it is a sequential development process. Sequential means you need to follow step by step. What it is? If you follow step by step, then it is called as your sequential. So it is a sequential development process that flow like a waterfall through all phases of a project. Okay. So what are the phases of a project means? In this project, we are having analysis phase, design phase, development phase, and testing phase. All these are called as your phases. What we call it as phases are simply nothing but your steps. Okay. Step number one is analysis, and after that, design, and after that, and finally you have testing phase. So it flows like a waterfall through all phases of a project: analysis, design, development, and testing. For example, within each phase completely wrapping up before the next phase begins. So the meaning of this is, I will show on this example clearly. So you are seeing different kinds of phases, right? Requirement, design, implementation, verification, and maintenance. All these called as your waterfall model structure. Okay. Waterfall model will work like this only. So on the first step, if you are seeing here on the first step, we are gathering the requirements. For example, if you need to do a project, okay, if you need to do a project, then first of all, we will get the requirements. What are the project requirement from the client? On the second stage, we are going to design the software architecture. Like software architecture is the major thing that we need to learn as a software engineer. I will tell on the next class what are these different kind of software architectures. So on the stage number 1, what we are having? Requirement. Stage number 2, design. And stage number 3, implementation means what are the software like the client asked you. Okay, you are going to implement the software by writing the code. You can write code on Java, Python, depending upon your requirement. You can write coding on any of the programming language. So after that, step number 4 is verification, and step number 5 is, so the verification means whatever the code you have implemented, you need to test it, right? Because without testing the application, can we able to release it on market? We can't, right? So on the verification stage, what is the complete thing we have implemented here through programming language? We are going to verify it. What we are going to do? Verification is nothing but simply you can call it as testing. What we can call it as? And finally, maintenance means. So the meaning of maintenance is, for example, if you develop an application, you need to monitor it continuously. Like this application is properly working or not. At what kind of time the application is facing major load. Okay. What kind of time the application is getting down. So all this comes into the maintenance part. Which part it is? So this is your waterfall model. On the waterfall model, first page is requirement. Page number 2, page number 3, page number 4, and page number 5 is maintenance. Okay, perfect. So the main disadvantage of waterfall model is, for example, it will flow like one by one. So first of all, you are coming from requirement to design. After you will go from design to, after from implementation to verification. But for example, while you are on verification, while you are on this stage, if something goes wrong on the implementation, then we cannot go back. This is the major drawback. Why we call waterfall model is we can come from step number 1 to step number n, but we can't go back to the step number n to step number 1. So top to bottom you can come, but bottom to top, can we go? So this will be the major disadvantage. For example, you are on verification stage actually, but you have missed something on implementation stage. If you miss here, then application is not going to function properly. Then is it any chance to going back to the previous stage? We don't have, right? So due to this, we are having major disadvantage on your waterfall model. What we are having? No, what we are having? Disadvantage. So let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages. Simply waterfall is nothing but a sequential process. It will go from top to bottom. These 2 steps are enough for you. Waterfall model is a sequential process. Okay, it will come from the top to bottom. So if we talk about the advantages, first of all, it is simple, easy to understand and easy to use. And second one is easy to maintain due to high rigidity of the model. So if you work on the waterfall model, it will be very easy because you are processing this by step, right? So step number 1 is done. After you are going to the step number 2. If step number 2 is done, after you are going to the step number 3. So here, are you maintaining clarity or not? So due to this clarity, waterfall method is one of the best method to implement any of the software application. Next, maintenance is also easy. Phases are processed and completed one at a time. So when we talk about this waterfall, right, at a single time, we can only able to process one stage only. We can't work on the multiple stages. At a particular time, how many number of stages can you able to work on? Only one single stage. Next, work well for the smaller projects where requirements are very well understood. So for example, if the project is very small project and you know every requirement, for these kind of projects, this waterfall model is the best one. Okay, so these are the advantages. One more time I'm telling for you. First of all, it is simple and easy to understand. Okay, second one is maintenance is also very easy. Third one is at a single point of time, you can work on a single phase only. Okay, you can't work multiple stages on a single time. Fourth one is work well for the smaller project. So these are the some of the advantages of waterfall model. Coming to the disadvantages, your major disadvantages, you cannot go back to the previous step. What you cannot do? We cannot go back to the previous step. First thing. Second thing is your high amount of risk and uncertainty. For example, if you are on stage number 3, stage number 1 is wrong. Okay, you can't go back. Then you need to complete the stage number 4. Then only you will be able back to the 1. At this time, we are consuming a lot of time or not? If we consume a lot of time, then the risk is certainly high, because you will say to the client, this product is going to deliver on 1 month. But if anything goes wrong, we need to start from the scratch again. At that time, completely, this is going to kill our time or not? So for that purpose, the amount of risk is also very high. And the third one is not good for the complex and object-oriented projects. So the meaning of complex is difficult. What it is? For the difficult projects, we cannot implement the waterfall model, first of all. And what is the meaning of object-oriented? No, don't tell Java. Like, I know Java is object-oriented programming language, but I'm asking, what is the meaning of object-oriented? Generally, I'm asking. Okay. Okay, let me tell you in clear way. Object-oriented means, for example, on real time, this laptop is an object. Okay, this chair is an object. Okay, this table is an object, and as well as humans, we are also an object. So object means the real world entity is called as your object. It will be on the physical form. Okay, if something is physical form and it is called as real world entity, then it is called as your object. For example, let's take Swiggy. Swiggy main purpose is to serve for us, right? So we are object. It is object oriented project. Let's take about this phone. Phone is also used to serve us, right? We can make the calls and we can watch movies and everything, right? So everything on real world which you can see and touch is called as an object. If the project is completely made to satisfy the object, then it is called as your object oriented project. Clarity? Clear for everyone? So that's it. So when someone asks about object oriented, Java is object oriented programming language. That is programming language, of course. But when we are talking about object oriented, everything in the real time world is called as your object only. So this is your first model. So one more time I'm telling, waterfall methodology is a sequential development process. Okay. Here you cannot go back to the previous step. And coming to the waterfall model, how many number of steps you are having? 5 steps. What are those? Requirements, design, implementation, verification, and maintenance. Perfect. So what are the major disadvantages on the waterfall model? We cannot go back to the single step, because if you go straight forward, if step number 2 is having some mistake, can we proceed for step number 3? No. Then can we go back to the previous step? No. So due to this, there will be a major disadvantage on the waterfall model. Next, coming to this, waterfall model fails on the market, right? Waterfall model fails on the market. Then again on the market, we have something called as your agile. What it is? So agile is something different from the waterfall model. For example, let's take, you know he, right? Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, so the Mark Zuckerberg is having some idea to implement the application called Instagram. So after that, he is one of my company's manager. Let's take it on real-time scenario. He is the product owner. Mark Zuckerberg is having some idea to implement application called Instagram. So he is going to collaborate with my company, and my company manager is going to talk with him. So he is going to give requirements to my company manager. So the manager will gather all the requirements from the client and he asks us to implement. So finally, when he got input from the product owner, we are going to plan according to it. Okay. For designing, we will take 2 months. For developing the application, we will take 10 months. And testing the application, how many months it will take? So total, on how many months can we deliver the application? So it will take 14 months to deliver the application for the owner. So if we talk about this agile methodology, the best thing about agile methodology is the meaning of agile means speed actually. Meaning of agile is speed. We can develop the application very speedily. We can develop the application very speedily. So if you see this one, the agile methodology is a way to manage project by breaking up into several phases. So here you are going to break down the large application into several number of stages. Sir, what are these phases or stages means? Planning, testing, developing, designing, and deploy. If you see here, are you seeing any operation task here? Deploy, operate, monitor. Are you seeing any of those here? No, right? So due to this one, agile methodology also got failure. Why? Because if you talk about this agile methodology, it is very speed in developing the applications, not deploying. If you develop your application very speedily, but if you give it to the customers very lately, then is there any good for it? We can't consider. For example, I developed the application on 30 days. How many days? But I have given it to the client after 75 days. Then is there any use of developing on 30 days? No, right? So same agile methodology also like that. Agile methodology will develop application very speedily, but it can't give to the operation team. Okay. If you see, operation team is never involved into the agile methodology. Okay. Just see this one. It is a practice that promotes continuous iteration of development and testing activities. So which activities? Development and testing activities. So both the development and testing activities are done at the same time. So here developing, we are going to develop at the same time and we are going to test the application on the same time. But these two are going very speedily. But comes to the operation part, do we have any deployment plan here? Any operation or monitoring? No, right? So due to this particular reason, Agile is also failed on the market. And the best thing is project timeline is fixed here. What is fixed here? Project timeline. So let's go to here, like let's talk about Scrum. What we are discussing about now? First of all, we have seen waterfall methodology. Waterfall methodology is advantages or disadvantages? Disadvantages, majorly we are having. And coming to the Agile, Agile is also having disadvantage called operation is lost there because we don't involve operation team there. And finally, what we are discussing now, Scrum. Scrum is somewhat better when compared to the waterfall and Agile. Okay. So Scrum is a subgroup of Agile. What it is? Subgroup of Agile. Scrum is a framework that help to improve teamwork together. So for example, when you are working on the Scrum, you will have a smaller teams. You don't have 10 to 15 team members. You will have majorly 6 or 7 team members on your team. So Scrum is help to improve the collaboration teamwork. So that means you are going to collaborate with every team member and you are going to work along with them. So each sprint start with a brief explaining of meeting and end with the review of meeting for work done on the end point of sprint. So that means this Scrum team member started working on an application. Okay. Once they're done with the application development, they are going to have some meeting. What they are going to have? Meeting. On this meeting, they are going to discuss everything along with this application and they will review this application and they started deploying into the production servers. Okay. So the best thing about the Scrum is the team size is very small, first of all. And the project also we can finish very speedily. So compared to waterfall and Agile, is the Scrum better or not? So here the sprint means releasing a application. What is sprint means? Like if you develop a new feature, on application, okay, then it is called as your sprint. Simply you can call it as work. So let's talk about the role of Scrum. So on the Scrum, you will have majorly 3 roles. How many roles? First one is your product owner. Second one is your Scrum master. And third one is your Scrum team member. So this product owner, like we have seen on Agile, right? Same here also. Product owner is going to give the input to the Scrum master. For example, this product owner needs to develop an application. So the product owner is going to give input to the Scrum master. And the Scrum master is going to take the input and it is going to give to the Scrum team members. So what does this Scrum team members will do? They will work on the requirement of this product owner. So from the product owner, you are going to get the requirements to the Scrum master. This Scrum master will arrange a meeting with the Scrum team members and they will ask them to work on the requirement of the client. So after some months, these Scrum team members started working on it and they will deliver the application to the Scrum master again. And this Scrum master will take the application from the Scrum team members and is going to show demo to the product owner. So this is how the Scrum works actually. So how many roles are there on your Scrum? 3 roles. What is the first role? Second role is? And third role is? Product owner is giving input to the Scrum master. And the Scrum master is taking input from the product owner and giving it to the these team members are going to work and they are going to giving it to the Scrum master again. And finally, it is again going to the product owner. So this is how actually the Scrum works on real time as well. Okay. So let's talk about the sprints. Okay, it is the thing you need to remember actually. So when you are working on real time, you will hear this word lot of time. So what is the sprint means? It is a period of time during which specific task must be completed based on the client requirement. Simply, for example, I am working on an application. I have given it to the client. Client asked me to modify this application and add some additional features. Okay. If I take that input from the client and started working on it, and if I give back to the client, then it is called as your sprint. What you can call it as? Sprint is nothing but a period of time. What it is? Second one is your sprint goal. What it is? This refers to what can be delivered using sprint. For example, the sprint goal means on this particular sprint, what you are going to add to the application. If I want to add a feature to the application, then the feature is going to be your sprint goal. What it is? Sprint goal. And third one is sprint backlog. That means if you develop this application and you have added a new feature on the sprint, then it's something is missing on that current sprint, then it is called as your sprint backlog. So one more time I'm telling, sprinting is nothing but if you add a new feature to the application on a given time period, it is called as your sprint. Sprint goal is nothing but what are the new features that you are adding on that particular sprint is called as your sprint goals. And third one is your sprint backlog. If you miss anything on that sprint, then it is called as your sprint backlog. Perfect. So let's talk about the disadvantage of Scrum. Even Scrum is working fine, but it too have some of the disadvantages. One is not effective for the smaller projects. So smaller projects cannot be effective while using this Scrum. Second one is, sir, why it is expensive means on the Scrum, when we are talking about Scrum, the team size will be limited. So if we take the limited team members, then we need to pay high, right? So the team is also very expensive to implement. Third one is need experienced member to involve. So Scrum, you can't work as a fresher. So at least 3 to 4 years of experience is required to work on the Scrum actually. And finally, work well with the small teams only. This point I have covered. And replacement of a teammate is not easy. For example, if a guy is working on the Scrum for 3 to 4 years, he know everything about the product. But unfortunately, when he moved to other organization, then we can't replace him because it is highly impossible. We can't say it is not practically possible. It is some difficult to replace the existing person. So having all of these disadvantages, can we continue with the Scrum? No. First of all, waterfall model came into the market. It got failed. After that, we got Agile. Agile is also, and finally we got Scrum is also, no, Scrum is also failed on the market. So having all of these failed models, then we got our DevOps into the market. What we got finally? So let's discuss about this DevOps now. So originally DevOps came into the market on which year? Remember guys, 2008 were the most important year to remember because you know Go language, Google official language. Google official language is called as Go language. DevOps came into the market on 2008. Go language is also into the market on 2008. And after that, you know Netflix. Netflix collaborate with AWS for the very first time. This is also happened on the 2008. On this year only, cloud got very popular. Actually, cloud is existing from past older years, but AWS came into the market on 2006. Okay, but when does AWS got popularity means on the year 2008 only. So DevOps was originated in the year 2008. Originally, it was discussion between two people. Okay, originally it was discussion between two people called Andrew Clay and Patrick DeBose. These two are normally friends. So it started as a discussion. So development team and operation team are working differently. So what happened if this both starting working together? So then discuss like this and have some of the paperwork with it. So finally on the 2009, they held a summit at the Belgium. Okay, they held a summit at the Belgium and there they have discussed what DevOps comes into the market, what will happen. So the summit goes everything fine. So they have started working on the DevOps project from the year 2009. And finally on the 2014, they have published an annual report. What they have published? So they have started working on a project of DevOps and they have published the report. On that report, what they have discussed is when compared to waterfall model and agile model and Scrum, DevOps is giving the product very speedily as well as implementation cost is also very less. Okay. First thing is the product is getting very speedily to the market. Second one is they are collaborating the team members, right? So development team and operation team working differently initially, but now they are working together. So like if we talk about the father of DevOps, like if we talk about the father of computer, who we can say? Charles Babbage. Father of C? Dennis Ritchie. And father of DevOps is nothing but your Patrick DeBose. Okay. He had sacrificed a lot of things to take this DevOps into the market. So initially he had said a lot of criticism for doing all these activities, but finally when the summit happened and they have discussed all these points, so DevOps came into the market only for like this reason, Patrick DeBose. Initially two people worked on it, but the major efforts is given by the Patrick DeBose only. So we can call Patrick DeBose as father of DevOps simply. So up to now we have seen DevOps, right? But what does this DevOps engineer do? Okay, what does this DevOps engineer do? Like his main purpose is to DevOps engineer is somebody who can understand the SDLC lifecycle. What he can understand? And he has understanding about various automation tool. As a DevOps engineer, your main goal is to automate. What is your main goal? You need to automate everything. You need to automate infrastructure. You need to automate server creation. You need to automate deployment. You need to automate monitoring as well. So as a DevOps engineer, remember your main goal is to automation. Sir, how does we automate the things? There is some of the tool called automation tools. By using these automation tools, we are going to write the pipelines. What we are going to write? By the help of the pipelines, you can automate everything. So this pipeline concept comes on the Jenkins concept. I will tell it. So DevOps engineer work with the developers and IT staff to oversee the code release. So DevOps engineer is also need to work with the IT team members as well. And as well as sometimes they need to work with development team and operation team as well. So he need to introduce new methodologies to implement the process quickly. For example, if I am creating a server, this server take 5 to 10 minutes to create. For example, let's say here DevOps engineer responsibility is to decrease the time. Okay, he need to automate the server creation and he need to decrease the time as well. Next, he has the knowledge of both development team and operation team as well. So that means development team as well as operation team both are different initially, but he need to have the knowledge of these both teams. Like this is the basic part only for the DevOps engineer responsibilities. I will explain on next slide what exactly he needs to do. So when we talk about tools, there will be a lot of tools on the DevOps. Okay. But among these, we are not going to learn all of these tools. For every stage, we are going to learn one tool only. So if you see there, how many number of stages we are having? 8. How many it is? SDLC is having 7 stages, but DevOps having, what are those? Plan, code, build, test, integrate, deploy, operate, monitor. So for the planning, we are not going to use any of the tool. For the planning, we are not going to use any of the tool. It is done by some of the senior software architects on your organization. So coding, we are going to use Git or Subversion. Coding means we are not going to write the code. We are going to store the code which has been written by the developer. Okay. For the coding part, we are using Git as well as Subversion. On our course, we are going to cover Git. What we are going to cover? So for the building process, there will be tools called Maven, Apache Ant, and Gradle. On our course, we are covering Maven. For testing purpose, we have Selenium, JUnit, NUnit, Cucumber. Okay. As a DevOps engineer, testing is not a part of your work. So you need not to learn anything about testing. You can skip this. So coming to the integration, we have a lot of options. Bamboo, Hudson, Jenkins. Okay. So on our course, we are going to learn Jenkins. Not only on our course, everywhere you go, Jenkins is the major thing for DevOps. Even if you learn Jenkins completely, you can get an easy job. Definitely. Next, coming to the deployment. Deployment, we can do it on EC2, Docker. By using Vagrant also, we can do it. So on our course, we are going to learn Docker here. And for the operation, we have tools like Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Salstock. But on our course, we are going to learn Ansible because Ansible is famous among all of these. So and finally, for the monitoring, we are going to use Nagios. What tool we are going to use? Nagios. And some of the tools that are missing here, for example, container orchestration, we are going to use Kubernetes. What we are going to use? Kubernetes. And there is a tool called Terraform. Terraform is for infrastructure developing purpose. So we are going to use Terraform as well. So on our course, we are going to use Git, Maven, Jenkins, Docker, Ansible, Nagios, Terraform, and Kubernetes. All these are we are going to learn. So how many tools? Git, Maven, Jenkins, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform. So total how many number of tools? 7 tools. Along with this, we are going to learn some more service on AWS. Like you can deploy an AWS by using EC2 as well. So that also we are going to learn on the very first day. Like this. So let's talk about before DevOps and after DevOps. So before DevOps and after DevOps means before DevOps, there will be a lot of miscommunication. But after DevOps, these both teams started working together. Now there is no scope of happening miscommunication. If 2 teams are working together, then is there any chance of having miscommunication there? No. First one. Second one is absence of DBA. DBA means database administrator. What it is? Initially, DBA is not presenting on your this part of teamwork, but now database work is done by the DevOps engineer as well. We can do the DB works as well. Next, time take for the execution of code. So it will take a lot of time to execute for the code, but after DevOps, execution is very speed. Delayed software deployment. So deployment is very delayed, but now deployments are doing very faster because we can do deployment by using any of the tool. We can do it within less than an hour as well. Next, constant monitoring of application. So previously we need to monitor the application 24/7, sitting in front of the like a computer only. But now you need not to sit in front of the computer. You can put some alert. That means if server got stopped working, then you can get your mail for it. Next, like cost factor. It is going to high before DevOps, but after DevOps cost factor is very low. Lack of scope for innovation and improved innovation. Why this point means initially development team and operation team not started working together, but now they have started working together. So then the meaning of that means, can we do something innovatively? Because we are having two teams, right? If they combine these both teams, then we can do some of the innovation things. But before DevOps, we don't have both teams combinedly. So we can't do innovation things there. Next, low failure recovery rates. So the recovery rate is very low and now the recovery rate is very high. Next, security we are having lack previously, but now security we are having very high security. And there is no continuous integration. There is no. But after DevOps, are we having continuous integration? Yes. This is the major part actually. It is your major part. So these are the some of the advantages like before DevOps and after DevOps. Remember, you need not to remember all of these points. I am just telling for your understanding only. Just try to understand. No one is going to remember all of these points, but try to like get into your mind like what exactly happened before DevOps and after DevOps. That will be helpful. And coming to here, like after learning this DevOps course, we are going to get a job, right? Sir, what is the DevOps market on currently? If you see this one, it is from the year 2014 to 2025 actually. So on the 2014, what is the DevOps growth rate? 857.7. But on it is on million, guys. It's not billion. It is on million here. So here we will have two factors. One is SME factor. SME means small and medium enterprise. SME means it is the value for SME. Second one is LE. LE means, so this is the value for the large enterprise. If you see, when compared to this SME, large enterprise is having a more scope or not. When you see the graph, instead of small and medium enterprises, DevOps share is going high for the large enterprise only. So whether if you go for a startup, if you go for a MNC, you can find DevOps job on anywhere. Next. Coming to the roles and responsibilities, like these are the DevOps roles and responsibilities you need to do on your daily activity. First one is getting your CI/CD pipeline. So we definitely need to write some of the CI/CD pipeline. I will explain this once Jenkins concept comes into the picture. Second one is automating daily tasks. So what are the tasks you are doing it manually? We need to automate the task for end to end. Third one is getting your cloud server network architecture. Anyone knows about the architectures here? I will tell you. If not, any architectures? Okay, so let's talk about your software architectures. Have anyone heard about this? No, it's not AWS Bhaskar and it is not also network design. I will tell you like There is architecture called 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, and n tier. These are called as your architectures, software architectures. This concept is going to come for your tomorrow's class. Okay, I will explain this concept on tomorrow's class. So first of all, your responsibility is to develop this CI/CD pipeline, and after that, second one is to daily task. Third one is to cloud server network architectures, and fourth one is infrastructure management. Whenever you are going to develop an application, okay, then there you need to get the infrastructure. What you need to get? Infrastructure is nothing but, for example, if you want to develop an application, I'm going to store it on EC2 server, like normal server, and the application data is going to store it on buckets S3, and application we are going to maintain auto scaling groups. So all these are your AWS concepts. For example, let's take your home. If I want to store my things on my home, I need to develop an infrastructure, how my home should be, right? Same like when you are developing an application, you need to maintain the infrastructure for it. So this infrastructure also we need to manage. And this fifth one is cloud migration. Cloud migration means, for example, when we talk about clouds, there will be AWS, Azure, and GCP. Initially, my client asked me to work on AWS, but after that, he asked me to work on GCP. So at that time, I need to migrate my AWS to GCP. What are the servers on working on your AWS? I need to take that servers to the GCP. That part is called as your cloud migration. And next one is your continuous monitoring. If you develop an application, you need to monitor the application continuously, because application sometimes will fail and not started working. At that time, we need to troubleshoot the application and we need to start this application fastly. Next, to make sure that pipeline is working smoothly, like when you write the pipeline will not work sometime. At that time, we need to troubleshoot the pipeline and we need to make sure the pipeline is working very smoothly. And last one is your collaboration with all teams. So as a DevOps engineer, you need to work with the all team members. You need to work with the, so these are your roles and responsibilities. One more time I'm telling for you. First one is your CI/CD pipeline. Second one is automation daily tasks. Third one is your cloud server and network architectures. Fourth one is your infra management. Fifth one is, sixth one is, seventh one, pipeline working smoothly. Last one is collaboration. So as a DevOps engineer, your roles and responsibilities are this majorly. Okay, sir, like it is everything clear up to now. If I want to become a DevOps engineer, how can I become? So this is your roadmap actually. So first of all, this step is optional. This is your optional step. That is, if you learn any of the programming language, it will be fine for you, but it is not mandatory. Even without programming language also, you can get your job on DevOps. First thing, if you have programming knowledge, that will be beneficiary for you. But even if you don't have the programming knowledge, you can easily get the job. Second one is you need to learn any of this operating system. We need to learn Linux definitely, because on real time, you are going to work on Linux only. Every server, there will be having an operating system called Linux only. So we need to learn Linux here. Once you learn the Linux, we need to learn one of the source code management tool like Git. Okay. Source code management tool means the developer is going to write for the application code, right? So that application code, we are going to store it on some of the source code management tool that is called as your Git. So after source code management tool, we need to learn about this build and integration tool. Build means Maven tool here we are using, and integration we are going to use Jenkins. So after this is done, you are going to learn about this deployment and configuration. For the deployment, we can use Docker or EC2 instance. For the configuration, we are going to use Ansible here. Next, after we have learned this, we need to learn the monitoring tool, because the application is deployed, right? Once the application is given to the deployment team, they will deploy the application. And finally, you need to monitor the application, like how this application is going to perform on the production environment. And finally, monitoring is done. We need to learn any of the cloud service. You can learn AWS, you can learn GCP, or you can learn Azure, but any one of the cloud is required. So as per the market, majority of the people will work with AWS only. So the best combination of DevOps is always AWS, and you can integrate on GCP, Azure as well. But when compared to that, AWS is having the highest market value. So this is how we can start the journey. So after that listening, you will have some of the doubts now, like apart from this thing, what are the things that we have discussed up to now? Is it clear for you from starting to now? Like we have started from DevOps and we have given waterfall model, and after that we have seen Agile, and after that we have seen Scrum as well, and finally DevOps. So if you want to become a DevOps engineer, what are the roadmap that I have shown to you? It will be enough for you. Sir, but I have listened this demo and something I need to clarify from my end. I have some doubts and queries. So this will be your major queries, okay? Can a fresher get a job on DevOps? Definitely. Some people will say like this, DevOps is not for the fresher, it will be for experienced people, but you don't believe. Let me tell a thing, like couple of days ago, the first batch is like ended here. Like first batch means morning 9 a.m. batch, okay? Without completing the course, a guy cracked 3 interview total. Like even the course is not done yet. So he got 3 offer letters. The highest among them is 8 LPA, like not 8, it's 6 LPA, highest among them. And the one is 4.5 and another one is 2.5. It's a minimal one. So as a fresher, you can definitely get a job on DevOps when you follow the certain standards. Second one is, sir, non-IT student can learn this course. Obviously, non-IT students also you can learn this course, because here we are starting everything from the scratch, right? So even you are from IT or non-IT, you can learn this course definitely. Third thing is, sir, I don't know any coding. So is coding required for this job? No. If you are having code, it will be advantage for you. But even if you don't have any coding knowledge, you can get a job easily. Next, can I change my domain to DevOps? Definitely. Like if you're working on from testing, or if you're working as a developer, you can definitely change to your DevOps domain. Next one, do I require to learn all the alternative tools? No, we can't require all the alternatives tool. For example, for each stage, you will have 5 to 6 alternate tools. You need to learn any of this one alternative tool. And finally, do I need to learn all AWS services? AWS services is not all required. We need to learn at least 10 to 15 AWS service that will be working on your real time only. So if we talk about AWS service, there will be 100 plus services actually. We don't require to learn all of these 100 plus services. We require only 10 to 15 maximum. And finally, someone will have a doubt, sir, AWS DevOps is better, Azure DevOps is better. First of all, DevOps is the same thing here. So here cloud is changing. When compared to Azure DevOps, AWS DevOps is having the highest value on the current market. Okay. So we are going to continue with AWS only. Even if you learn Azure also, it will be better. But compared to Azure, what we are having now, AWS is current on the market. So these are some of the frequent queries, like it's been asked for the every demo. So I have cleared these queries. Now, apart from these queries, if you are having any doubts, you can ask me now. First of all, I will connect with the online people, then I'll come back to you. Okay. So I got few queries from the online people, like, sir, in this course, can we cover? Wait a second, let me read this one. Prerequisite. Yeah, Sushmita, in this course, we are also covering AWS. So I will give you the course content syllabus, okay? You can check it from there, what we are going to cover. So CI/CD we can start once Jenkins comes into the action premise. So I will explain what is CI/CD. CI/CD means continuous integration, continuous delivery or deployment. Sir, do you cover Terraform and AWS is a part of course? Yes, we are going to cover Terraform as well. Okay. Lot of people will don't cover Terraform and DevOps, but we are going to cover Terraform in depthly. So core duration will be like I will explain this thing for you. So let me open the paint. So your core duration will be 2 months, guys. Duration will be 2 months. So daily you are having classes from Monday to Saturday. Okay. And the timings will be from this 9 to 10:30. So daily how many hours you are going to spare? 1.5 hours. And the fee will be 8,000 for this course. Fee will be 8,000. And if you want recordings will be additional charge for you. Recordings you need to pay another 8,000 fees for it. Okay. Like these are the some of the things you need to like take before this. So duration will be 2 months and class from Monday to Saturday. So timings will be morning 9 to 10:30 and fees will be 8,000 for training, and for the videos you need to pay under 8,000. So once the class is completed, we are going to post these PPTs for you. So what are the things you are seeing, right? Everything will be on presentation mode, guys. So I'm not going to give any of the Word document or any other document. The content will be visualized. So if we talk about this Jenkins, so every content what we are going to learn is completely on visualized mode. So that means I'm not going to write any of the Word document or any text document. What are the content you will learn from me is continuously on this part only. So every content you are going to learn on visualized method only. That's it. So it is possible to learn DevOps. So Sai Kumar, it is not possible to learn this both course at a single time because you will have some difficult to understand. I'm not saying it is impossible. It's possible, but you will have a lot of difficulties to learn at this both time. I will recommend you to continue like any one of them. If you learn AWS, you will cover only AWS. But here, if you learn DevOps, we will cover both DevOps as well as AWS. So on AWS, we are going to cover up to 12 to 15 services minimum. So is there any prerequisite? So there is no prerequisite for any of these tools. You can learn everything from the scratch. And I'll send you the syllabus copy for you. Give me 1 second. Like don't post any of the queries here. Stop texting for 1 minute. Like if we stop texting for 1 minute, I will send you the syllabus content on the chat. Give me a second. Okay, for the syllabus copy, you can ping to the admin. Like our admin is Usharani. You can ping to her and she will forward you the syllabus content for you. Okay, I don't have option to upload the syllabus content here. So if you ping to the above number you are seeing, so they will reply you with the syllabus content. Yes, Vipin, we are also covering Linux commands as well. Don't worry about it. How many real-time projects we are be trying here? So real-time projects, you will do at least 4 real-time projects. Okay, on list case, you will do 4. If the time permits and you are okay with the other, we are going to do at least 6 as well. So 4 to 6 will be the real-time projects we are going to cover here. For the hands-on practice, you will have lab here, Mohammed. So you can come to here and you can practice. Sir, I'm doing AWS and I'll complete this my month end. Can I join from next week? Definitely you can join. You can join. So we are going to deploy everything on your EC2 only, Anupam. So you can get it from there. So Sakshi, I am working currently as a manual tester presently. I would like to suggest you go to DevOps course. So definitely I will go with DevOps only because like it's the most recent trending thing, right? So Sumit, yes, 2019. Previously I said a guy cracked 3 jobs, right? He's 2019 passed out only. Okay, even you can get it. Don't worry about it. So configuration i5 is enough actually. Even if it is i3, you can work, but I will suggest for i5. So and one more thing, WIPO. So here I'm getting a lot of questions, so I'm not able to answer all of these questions on a single day. Don't worry, like tomorrow also we are having class on the same time, right? So what are the queries that you are posting here? If I miss any of those, I will cover tomorrow. Okay. And I will also take resume building session as well as career guidance for you. So don't worry about it. So okay guys, that's it. That's it for today. So what are the topics that we have covered? Like you will get the recording video of it. Please ping to the admin. And tomorrow we are going to discuss one more topic. Okay. So what are the queries pending from your end? I will cover on tomorrow's class. Thank you, everyone.